Hi, T.
Hi, everybody. Hi, T.
Hi, Talia. Hi.
Okay, it's still going live. We're working. Here we are. We're live. Okay.
Oh yeah, it's not even 7 yet. I didn't realize that.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah, we're early.
Yeah,
So
we're killing this.
Hello, Mia. I see you in here. Mia is in Boal and Beyond. Welcome.
was so beautiful.
Thank
I
you.
think we're going to wait maybe like 5 more minutes for more people to come in if everyone's cool with starting at like 7:10.
Okay.
We will be inviting you in, so we'll all be together in the same room and we'll be able to see each other once we get started.
This is awesome. It's going to be so cool to see people performing. First open mic of the semester. Yay.
So I'll talk just a little bit and introduce Performance Lab and what we're doing here. So the Prescott College Performance Lab is something that evolved from 3 different mentored studies from the 3 individuals that you see here, Sivan, Jaco, and Cooper. And we all started to talk about, in each mentored study, there were some crossovers. And as the mentor, I thought there should be more dialogue here among peers and more exploration of things. So we started getting together on Saturdays and exploring different aspects of what different people were working on in a performative way, whether it was writing or dramatic text or poetry. And then we created a series of performances last term at the end of term, which we aired on YouTube. And we want to try to open up a little more now. So our work, when we get together as the Performance Lab, is very exploratory and immersive, and it looks at engaging in performance and theater as an immersive, exploratory, and participatory, collaborative mode of initiating social dialogue, social transformation, and conducting a little social research as an artist into how we relate to each other and how we relate to ourselves and what that means and how we perform those relationships every day. So we do a lot of exploring using performance-based techniques and writing to look at social questions that we have. So today, what we wanted to do is open up our own exploration into narratives and how the narratives that we tell and the narratives that other people tell us create our reality and create our identity. So tonight's theme is sharing the stories that we tell ourselves and those things that have most affected us, those stories that we really are so present in our lives. And this is all inspired by a very wonderful, amazing poet and essayist from Nigeria, and his name is Ben Okri. And I'll just start off by reading something from him, and then we can continue on. He says in his book, A Way of Being Free, one way or another, we are living the stories planted in us early or along the way. We are also living the stories planted unknowingly or knowingly in ourselves. We live the stories that either give our lives meaning or negate it with meaninglessness. If we change the stories we live by, quite possibly we change our lives. What hope is there for individual reality or authenticity when the forces of violence and orthodoxy, and the earthly powers of guns and bombs and manipulated public opinion make it impossible for us to be authentic and fulfilled human beings? The only hope is in the creation of alternative values, alternative realities. The only hope is daring to redream one's place in the world, a beautiful act of imagination, and a sustained act of self-becoming, which is to say that in some way or another, we breach and confound the accepted frontiers of things. The earliest storytellers were magi, seers, bards, griots, shamans. They were, it would seem, as old as time and as terrifying to gaze upon as the mysteries with which they wrestled. They wrestled with mysteries and transformed them into myths which coded the world and helped the community to live through One more darkness with eyes wide open and hearts set alight. I can see them now, the old masters. I can see them standing on the other side of the flames, speaking the voices of lions or thunder or monsters or heroes, heroines, or earth or fire itself, for they had to contain all voices within them, had to be all things and nothing. They had to have the ability to become lightning, to become a future. That was from Ben Okri, A Way of Being Free, written in 1997. And he's the inspiration for our theme tonight. So should we open it up?
Yes.
Let's do it. Hi, my name is Cooper. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm going to be your virtual MC tonight for this open mic. Thank you all for coming. If you have any friends that you know just sitting at home right now doing nothing, students, and they're not here right now, just feel free to send them a little text or an email with the invite to come on over this way. If you feel like you want to perform tonight, we highly encourage that you share any kind of poetry or songs, dance, skits, anything. We encourage you to just share that and perform tonight. You can just send me a little message if you go down to the chat box down below. You can just send me your name, and if you want to, if there's like a title to your piece or a title that goes along with your performance, go ahead and let me know what that is as well, so I can give you just a little introduction. So yeah, we just want everyone to kind of, one thing that I would like to say is that although the stage is, the stage is a free place, and we want to give everyone the creative right to perform anything that is personally meaningful to them. And I know that this theme has a lot of weight for people, and it's very personally meaningful. And we just want to be mindful of the community tonight with the words that we say, anything that we might express. We don't want to cause any harm to each other on purpose. So any hateful like comments or anything, we would like that to be kept to yourself. We just want tonight to be a time where everyone's feelings can be valid and can be expressed, and where everyone feels safe to share their performances. I don't know
Very
if
hard
Ruth or
time.
anyone else wants to say anything about that. Yeah.
It's a very hard moment for building community, being that we're all slightly isolated due to COVID. And this is our way of opening up a very personal space that we've been in as intergenerational collaborators in a performance lab. And we really wanted to open it up and create a broader community of sharing where we could talk about the things through poetry and art, the narratives of our realities. So let's share that. Let's share. And in that sharing, be aware that what we share is how we create an environment together. So if we share hate, then that's what we sit in. And if we share love, then that's what we sit in.
Thank you, Ruth. That's very well said. That was perfect. Thank you. So I think at this point we should let the attendees come in as panelists. If you want to turn on your camera, that would be awesome. Maybe while other people are performing, if you want to mute your mic, that would be awesome, just so there's no background noise when anyone else is performing. So if people want to start coming in, I'll promote people to panelists.
So I think we'll be beginning with a performance from Jaco, who will be sharing something that we don't know yet what he's sharing. We're also up for a surprise.
Yeah, so I can start things off. My name is Jaco Schiller. I'm a sophomore at Prescott College studying cultural and regional skills. And this poem I wrote this past week, sort of in response to the Capitol riots, but also kind of just the entire year and the entire history of the United States. So it's kind of a response to that. And it's called, What Are You For? So, dear Republicans of the United States, we see you rally, but what are you really for? Gun rights, military spending, abortion restrictions, and beautiful coal. You're conservative, but where are you on the spectrum of right? Are you just for Second Amendment rights? Or for swastikas, white hoods, and nuclear war? Like, how alt-right are you, bro? Where's the line between US law and KKK? I'm struggling to see it. Confederate flags fly next to swastikas. Blood and soil or back the blue. Are you anti-Semitic or just a little racially biased? Like subconsciously racist or burning crosses? Are Canadians white enough to fly maple leaves? What about rainbows? Can you tolerate them? Or does it remind you of Antifa? I'm sure you hate political correctness and cancel culture. Trump 2020, fuck your feelings, am I right? But how dangerous are Democrats to you, Karen? Black Lives Matter, what is it? Is it Joe Biden's fan club or communist guerrillas? No, it's Bernie and AOC turning New York City into Cuba. Take your pick, alternative facts. Are you a Christian conservative? One of the lost children of Mike Pence? Or are you a QAnon terrorist dressed in horns, waiting for Trump to eat child molesters and deliver us from the bondage of socialist democracy? I'm just having trouble distinguishing boundaries. Do you just love police and prisons or white supremacy? Are progressives even human to you? Or do you want holocausts in blue cities? Eradicate the left or coexist with the disease? Biden's just a slightly less racist old white man. Like, what are you even mad about? Which facts of history do you agree with? Was slavery a myth to make America look bad? Or was it made to make America look great to you? Are you a Joe Exotic Republican? I'm not really sure how Tiger Hillbilly politics work. Are you just pissed because you hate lockdown? Is COVID a Chinese flu or a 5G apocalypse? What are you for? Science or religion? Jesus or Trump? Jim Crow or Hitler? On your scale of purity, what's your order and taxonomy? Does it look like a paint chip? Are Jews okay when they're white? Or all of them should have stayed in the camps? Is your racism systemic? Centuries of complexion oppression. Are all immigrants satanic demons? Like, you'll tolerate Europeans. Whoever did the colonizing is cool, right? May as well nuke every other continent. Or do you love third world dictators? They're not that bad. What's that, Syria? Killing journalists. Okay, I see you. Are you Republican, but for human rights? Good luck with that. Democrats can at least fake it better. They can look like they care what Greta says. Blue won't save you. But an AR-15 might help. Hell, why not a bulletproof vest? Oh, what's that cue? Time to burn Washington? I thought I was going to be the radical left, but okay, I guess I'll do it. Mom, where's my Viking costume? I'm going to save America. Poor baby. Like to play with guns? He looked up to his city police. He loved cowboys and soldiers. The red, white, and blue was so seductive. Now he's raping Black trans girls. Do you agree with Mussolini? Is democracy a fallacy, doomed to fail? If you're not for fascism, what are you for? Thank you.
All right.
I don't know if we want to like unpack that or move on to the next.
We can, if anybody wants to. I see a great comment from Alasia. Thank you, Alasia. Jaco, powerful piece. That's a
Thank you.
lot of questions. A lot of questions. Yeah. I got super.
Yeah,
questions.
I think I was wondering if it was appropriate for this theme, because I sort of wrote it separately from, you know, the idea of this open mic, but it what it really is like an inquiry, and just, you know, trying to understand other people's stories that are contrary to mine, and where do they come from? Where is that intersection, even within the right, which I'm trying to like analyze, but also between two opposing views? Where's that intersection? So yeah.
Yeah, and I remember some conversations that we've had about that as you've been exploring that, like opposite viewpoint and the world of that reality, right? And I think that's a really interesting, like just liturgy of questions. So it's like questioning the narrative, questioning your own narrative, questioning their narrative. It's, yeah, pretty comprehensive, right? Wow. Cool.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Jaco. That was like such a beautiful piece.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess if anyone has questions, Jaco, would you like to take any questions or comments about your piece?
For sure. I would love, any feedback or questions you have.
Wow. I mean, something that just stood out to me was like just how you really honed in on some of the nuances of like these groups of people that we see like in those photos storming the Capitol, when you were like, he grew up looking up to the police in his town, and that red, white, and blue was so seductive to him. Wow, that imagery was just so vivid to me, and I kind of could see like on my face there was just a little crack of a smile, because I immediately just remembered seeing the photo of that guy in the Capitol, and then, you know, you kind of brought things back to home, and I was just really like touched by this kind of radical empathy for this person that has become viral. Essentially, we see what he did online pretty much everywhere we go. So it was really nice to feel a touch of humanity maybe in that person and how they're being portrayed right now.
Yeah, I think the compassion in it was really, it brought out a kind of empathy, you know?
Yeah. I think also like a lot of the things that I say in this poem are things that I've been trying to say, trying to put together in the right way for a really long time. Particularly just this past year, I've been so frustrated with how polarized politics have become. Not that they weren't before, but especially now, to the point where we have no real inspiration or motivation to even approach a Trump supporter to, you know, try to understand like where they're coming from and like who hurt you. Like, but yeah, I think this poem has been kind of therapeutic for me in that sense, like, because I have so much anger and rage inside of me for the right. And like, you can hear that in the poem. At the same time, like there is this like longing to try to understand why. And that's, yeah, I feel better about just like where I am, just like with that, having written this.
Yeah. So that's that radical empathy that we've been talking about before.
Right. Yeah.
I also had a comment. Sorry, I can't hop on video, but yeah, I thought it was interesting that your very first thing you said post performance is that you weren't sure if it fit the theme. And I'm like, what? That is exactly the theme. Because imagine, you know, for someone in that perspective, that is this, those are the stories they live by. And those are, you know, just all the examples you gave. I think sometimes individuals who are, you know, of that, you know, mindset, they're constantly justifying as well. What do I actually believe and why am I supporting? You know, there's some things that I'm questioning my own self, but like, well, I believe these 5 things over here though. So I guess, you know, I stick to this, you know, frame of mind because there's enough things that justify it, if that makes sense. But yeah, I thought immediately like that is totally the theme. So that was beautiful.
Great comment.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah.
So,
Awesome. Okay. Well, I just wanted to mention again, repeat that if anybody wants to hop in line to perform, you can go ahead and just send a little chat down in the chat box and I will just put you into the queue. But until then, up next, I'm actually going to read a poem that means a lot to me. This is a poem by Adrienne Rich, one of my favorite poets. Her poetry is just like very beautiful and very like, it definitely calls to me. And yeah, this is a poem I turn to often when I'm going through some kind of darkness and I feel maybe alone and I need to center myself again. Okay. Either you will go through this door or you will not go through. If you go through, there is always the risk of remembering your name. Things look at you doubly and you must look back and let them happen. If you do not go through, it is possible to live worthily, to maintain your attitudes, to hold your position, to die bravely. But much will blind you, much will evade you. At what cost, who knows? The door itself makes no promises. It is only a door.
beautiful.
Thank you. Awesome. Thanks.
What is it? What is it about that that stands out to you? What is it that, when did it come into your life?
Yeah, it came into my life right as I was coming to Prescott College. I read this poem a lot when I was on orientation out in the woods. This is one of my favorite books. And it felt like I was just making a really big decision. I was at a huge transition point in my life. I had just decided to quit my career and go to college, which I never expected. And here I am about to graduate after this semester. So it feels like I'm revisiting like an old version of myself, like a past friend that has like bravely gone through a transition in life. And I'm like, I almost need to go back and maybe draw some strength from myself at that time. And I was rereading some of the poems I was reading at that point, and it's like, wow, this has really influenced the way that I have kind of gotten through these last couple of years.
That open door is a great mantra.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a great narrative to live by.
Yeah. I think and talk about like doors opening and closing all the time. It's definitely like a metaphor that my family used a lot growing up. So I definitely see that like happening all around me when I'm getting ready to graduate or look for a new place or a new job. It's like I just have to like go through a door, pick it. There's no promises, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
it's one of my
wanted to
favorite
say,
films.
Cooper, yeah, thanks for sharing that and sharing about that. Cooper and I were actually on the same orientation group together. And so just hearing you talk about revisiting that time and like we were both like just coming to college and like going through a lot of transition.
Yeah.
Yeah, I relate. Like everything that I'm doing creatively right now is also revisiting like everything that I've come from, and just a very
Wow.
potent idea. Yeah. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Anybody else want to speak to that? Thank you, Alicia. Beautiful comment. Way to go through those doors and down those silver linings.
Thank you.
Even when you feel
Awesome.
uncertain. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Well, up next, does anybody want to volunteer to go next? I don't have anyone in line. Feel free to just volunteer.
Are you sharing this evening, Sivan?
Yes, I will be.
Okay.
I was just gonna wait a few seconds to see if anyone else wanted to go.
Yeah, please, anyone. You are more than welcome. Anything. You can sing a song even.
You know what I think would be really interesting? An improvised, just verbal response to this question, where do you come from? I just think that would be interesting. But I'll go. I'll read a poem. I'll save anyone from that pressure I just put on.
Awesome. The floor is yours, Sivan.
Thank you. This is a poem I wrote November 19th, 2021. I mean, 2020. And it's called Quiet. And it's prefaced with an epigraph. And in that epigraph, I wrote Rumi's poem, Quietness. So it's kind of a response to Rumi's poem, Quietness. And this is what Rumi says. Quietness. Inside this new love, die. Your way begins on the other side. Become the sky. Take an axe to the prison wall. Escape. Walk out like someone just born into color. Do it now. You're covered with thick clouds. Slide out the side. Die and be quiet. Quietness is the surest sign that you've died. Your old wife was a frantic running from silence. The speechless full moon comes out now. Quiet. I spend a week with family and learn and relearn of what I'll call scroll culture. She says, I'm on my phone after so much school just because I want to turn my brain off. I feel ya. A different person now. Looking at her post, the family outside eating hot dogs by a winter fire, keeping distance. On the drive home now, I look over and see for the 5th time, she's refreshing her Facebook page to see the same faces waiting to be commented on. You know this scene? I look through her hair and try and see what's exploding as her body remains still, chill, calm, nonchalant, like nothing's happening. What's going on up here? Another. I like this one because she's real low maintenance, never complains about anything. I look up and hold my jaw, trying not to puke out the years of wine and cheese coming from her silver platter tongue. I'm lucky I had a minute to write down what she said in the Colorado airport because later that day I chose to be hella high maintenance and it felt so good. As if your decency was more important than my emotions. I attend meetings on Zoom and I admire the endurance of smiling faces. How long are we supposed to be decent? If I were myself, would you think I was sick? If I were honest with myself, would any of you like me? Do you like me? I made a hard decision today to not go home for holidays because my mental health can't stand the movement. I can't see you, Ma, because I don't feel enough like myself. Too much doing, too much decency. I'm tired. I'm lazy. I don't feel like it today. I'm hopeless. I'm depressed. I'm useless. I'm sad. I just kind of feel overwhelmed. Well, I must not be as great as they thought I was. I guess I'm not the hero I was supposed to be. I have this problem. I have trouble falling asleep when I'm too excited about something. And I also have trouble falling asleep when I'm not excited about anything. You know that feeling when there's nothing to look forward to in the near future? My butt cheeks get real comfortable under me. My legs are just kind of attached. My spine and arms, a burden. My hair is something to worry about. My flabby stomach's still there after the 50th time squeezing my side rolls. Don't dare look in the mirror. You're not gonna like what you see. A weirdo, an other, an ugly, as in not pretty, as in no, I'm not welcome. Everyone else is doing so much better than me. I could try and be better. They'll see me doing well and, I'll believe what they think. And then I won't think about it again because I'll have turned off my brain as I'm scrolling. Scrolling into the boiling soup that awaits to be stirred in the vacant apartment. Lights off, door flung shut. No one is coming. They've all left and turned out the lights, but I'm still cooking. Didn't they see? I was quiet and still for so long, they forgot about me. They were holding their phones. They were all frantic, running from silence, from me. And now that they're gone, I watch the blue flame on the stovetop become my friend. And the hiss that comes from my ears. And this heart keeps working. Who asked it to keep working after everyone leaves? Do they think about me cooking? Or am I already dead?
Wow.
Oh, thank you, Sivan. That was amazing.
You're welcome.
Thank you for
Wow.
sharing that.
Great
my goodness.
story poem. What was the date?
On the November 19th, 2020, 2 months ago.
Wow.
I love when you talk about scrolling culture. That just jumped out at me, especially the way you said that. I was like, whoa, I do know that feeling. I do know what you're talking about. And
Yeah,
going home, it's always like that now.
yeah.
So
Like I wanted to bring the question, yeah, you can think that it's ridiculous that someone refreshes their screen 5 times in the same minute to see if they got a like, but I'm guilty of that too. Aren't you?
totally.
I really like the rhythm of it too, and that it had a scrolling rhythm as you were reciting or reading the poem. It had this scrolling rhythm to it. So the actual action of scrolling is rhythmically in your performance of the poem, which is kind of interesting. So I could get a very visual image of this and a very tactile kind of feeling for it.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I didn't think about that element before, but it's totally there.
Because it kind of goes around and around. It scrolls. The poem scrolls, right? It's interesting because you can, when you write a poem, right, and maybe you don't even get to understand all of its rhythm until someone performs it in front of you, or you perform it yourself as a reading, and then hearing it and feeling it on your tongue and saying the words brings out that recognition of, oh, wow, that's even the concept in the poem is embedded in the rhythm in which it's written, you know, and only through looking at it in an embodied way, like you just now performing it, do we see all of that rhythm, right? Very nice.
I loved the exploration of like different themes, even especially like the imagery of the body, you know, and the legs going numb, and but then also the mental health that, you know, can't stand the movement. I thought that was such a powerful visual, like, because that's so real, you know. Yeah, I thought it was a beautiful exploration. I also caught that you know, obviously being a Colorado person, the homage to the Mile High City and being too high maintenance in the airport. I don't know if that was purposeful, but we are the Mile High City, so being high maintenance makes sense.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
That, you know, that just brought up a thought to me, you know, when Alicia was saying that the imagery, and even that, the way the different imagery coming up had this a very like scrolling on your phone kind of feeling, where, you know, one minute you're looking at a CNN story and the next minute you're looking at Facebook, and there's all this imagery happening, right? And that's in the writing of it too. There's a lot in there, Sivan. I mean, that is a very performative piece on the page.
Yeah.
Right? Already, it's got all that in there that anyone who picks it up and is going to read it is going to find, especially out loud.
Yeah, I'd actually be really curious how somebody else who has never heard it picks it up and reads it, because I wrote it very much with the thought of how it sounds, how it performs, how I perform it, you know, is geared for me to perform it. But yeah, that'd be really interesting to have someone else read it.
It might be really interesting to hear a different, like to hear even a different gendered voice read it back, you know, because that's sort of, because our writing is storied by our physiology to some degree, right? Even the tone of voice and the reference to, like, when you're talking about family members, to her, right, would take on a different connotation read in a feminine voice of who that her is, because we're wondering, right? Is her mom, is her, you know, right? Is her sister, is her girlfriend, is her, who's her, right? And we're wondering the same things. I think if it's read from, you know, another gendered perspective, but it changes our kind of contextualization of the story in a way, you know.
Yeah, that would be really interesting. Also,
It changes what the audience imagines, is what I'm saying. When we hear, even, like, let's say we heard an 80-year-old voice perform that poem. Wow, a totally different imagery for the audience, right? So it's not just gender, but it's also like age. It's also, you know, like if you think about when you did the Juliet monologue experimentation, and so you were doing this Juliet monologue, but what if that was an 80-year-old woman doing it, or an 80-year-old man, or a 10-year-old girl doing it, you know, and those different, even the quality and the sound of the voice physically creates a whole different image for the audience, and a different impact and a different story that they see, right, or they hear, which is interesting.
cool.
Yeah.
There was
also,
one part I really liked where you were sort of talking about like self-decency versus like self-authenticity. It's something I think about a lot, just like what's the like most socially acceptable thing to do versus like what is like the most honest like thing that I can do in this situation. I really like just how you reflected on that, because I think about it a lot.
Yeah.
it's very intimate, right? That's a great point, Jaco. It's very intimate because we feel very close to the voice, the speaker, right?
Yeah. that specifically is a big part of my, like, where I come from. Yeah, like questioning what is like acceptable versus like what is true for me. Thanks, everyone.
Alicia had a comment. It also reminded me a lot of the documentary, The Social Dilemma, which we should check out. The Social Dilemma. Okay, filmed in Colorado.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Anybody
Awesome.
want to volunteer? Anybody want to take the mic? Is welcome
Yeah.
to take it. We want to leave space for that so we don't just hog up all the time.
I think everyone has capability of turning on their own video if they want to. If you're in the panelists, I
And
think you have
of
access
course,
to do that.
there's also no pressure. Also no pressure.
Yeah, of course. I just got a message from someone saying that they want to perform something at the next open mic, but it's not quite ready for tonight.
Okay.
So I just want to like encourage that person out loud to bring that to the next open mic. We would love to hear it whenever you're ready to share it. This is totally the place to do it.
Definitely.
So, and we'll definitely be having more this semester.
We can also kind of like workshop it, kind of like if you want to just like throw out a draft and we can like share our experiences of it too. That can be really helpful too.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, if nobody else wants to go, or if anyone else is just deciding to go, I have another poem to read if anybody would like to hear it, or if there's anyone else who wants to go first. That's totally fine too, because I've already gone.
4 minutes.
Nope.
Go ahead.
All right.
Cool.
Cool. So here's another poem by Mary Oliver, who I just love. Naturalist, writer, female, amazing poems. Okay. One day you finally knew what you had to do and began. Though the voices around you kept shouting their bad advice. Though the whole house began to tremble and you felt the old tug at your ankles. Mend my life, each voice cried, but you didn't stop. You knew what you had to do, though the wind pried with its stiff fingers at the very foundations, though their melancholy was terrible. It was already late enough, and a wild night, and the road full of fallen branches and stones, but little by little, as you left their voices behind, the stars began to burn through the sheets of clouds, and there was a new voice, which you slowly recognized as your own, that kept you company as you strode deeper and deeper into the world, determined to do the only thing that you could do, determined to save the only life you could save. That's it.
Wow. Another milestone on a journey. It sounds like has a relationship to the other one in a way. Yeah?
Definitely. Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Sure. That same period of my life. Mm-hmm. Thanks, everyone.
I'm gonna pick up on that actually, just for a second. This is a poem by a Burmese poet, a very close friend of mine. I consider my brother. His name is Nimwe, and this is called A City of a Philosophy Lab. It was written in 2014 in November on the 20th for World Philosophy Day, submitted or commissioned by a UNESCO poetry workshop. I went back to the kitchen before I was born, I reflected on the pains of the nameless drops of blood. I penetrated into the impenetrated reality of the first moments of flux in the infrangible franticness of composed hysteria. I walked back on the bare sheets of my mental imageries. I talked to the monologue beings on insights, a lore of a reviewed lesson. I am a civilization. I am a civilization. I am a civilization. Rarely heard works of a poet from Myanmar. And he's also a wonderful performer, and he's often on Facebook. So if he's out there right now, brother, I shout out to you. Nyein.
That was really beautiful. I just love like the how it gets more stunning with every wave of I am a civilization. I am a civilization. It was like every time you said it again, it just came over like a even bigger wave. That's was just really beautiful.
The
What
context.
was the author's name again?
Nyein. I'll type it into the chat here.
That would be awesome.
And it's an anti-colonial, it's a decolonizing piece. So contextualizing it in Myanmar, he touches on some, I mean, I read it in English, but in Myanmar language, some of the imagery picks up on a lot of the colonial impact that was very and it was very personally felt. And the I am a civilization, particularly in the context of where this was performed for UNESCO, was a real statement by a Myanmar poet. So.
That's amazing. I was wondering if the poems are written in both English and in the original language by the author, or if the poetry gets translated.
He writes
both
he
versions
writes
are written by the same author.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. What a talent, what a skill. That must have some creative advantages for that artist. That's awesome. Be able to translate his own work into other languages. Wow.
So. Would anybody like to, any of our guests like to share anything? Hi, Talia.
Hey, Talia.
Hi, Talia.
You want to share? You want to share something?
Yeah, I'll read. Sure. I'll read. This is a piece I wrote in a class called Short Shorts last spring. I think it was right around when we went into lockdown, actually. Doesn't have anything to do with that, but yeah. It's called Prayer to Myself. Prayer to myself to keep it fucking real. I pray in the shower after my hike that I remember to stretch. I pray that I'll be able to sleep some nights. I used to pray shit like, Dear God, please make sure I win my basketball game. Or, Dear God, please don't let my period leak out of my pad again today. Dwendita sings, I pray to my God and my mom because they're both the same. I feel that. My mom is to me how people are to God. I fear her wrath. She's got all the answers. Sorry, someone's distracting me. Okay. Dwendita sings, I pray to my God and my mom because they're both the same. I feel that. My mom is to me how people are to God. I fear her wrath. She's got all the answers, and if I stay on her good side, then life will go right for me. I pray shit like, Dear God, please don't let baby Jack fall off the bed when I tiptoe out of the room to go pee or eat a snack. In my barely Jewish upbringing, we would pray shit like, Adonai this, Adonai that, God's name sung every other word. I remember the Arabic call to prayer during sundown in Israel. how I would stop in my tracks, enraptured, and listen. I couldn't not listen. I pray shit like, dear God, I hope my 80-year-old neighbor doesn't see me so she won't say, God bless, and then I won't have to cringe, letting my annoyance of the phrase seep out. Like, lady, I would rather have you bless me than an idea up in the clouds. The script sings, just praying to a God that I don't believe in. I feel that. I pray knowing that there isn't anyone out there hearing me, knowing that I'm the only one who can answer my call to prayer. Thank you.
Really beautiful, Talia. Thank you so much for reading that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was written during the during lockdown, during.
Yeah, I think it was I just remember the class was around that time, like when we had after spring break had to like go online. I remember doing that class online during that time. Yeah.
I love
that.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No,
Go
Jaco.
ahead, Jaco, please.
Okay. I was just gonna say I love the repetition of I pray shit like, because I think at the end, like, it totally makes sense that you decided to like use that, just like I pray shit. Just like we don't really know like what we need and like what we want necessarily until we have that like self-reflection and like realize that like you know, we are the ones listening to our prayers. And like, you know, I love that. That's the idea that I got. I don't know if that's what you were going for, but yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I think so. I think that was definitely.
Yeah, that repetition was really strong, like a mantra.
Yeah.
Yeah, I even saw you doing a little dance as you were reading it that gave so much like just life to what you were saying. It really like backed up and just reinforced like what I was feeling watching you. You know, you were swaying and it was really like, I think you were swaying and then you started talking about like a fear of yours and you stopped and you were still again. And I just felt that like I was kind of swaying too, like talking a little bit more about your childhood. And it was just really like interesting to watch the body language like really reinforce and like support what you were saying. It was very authentic.
That's so interesting because that wasn't like something I was thinking about, and I know from my partner telling me that swaying is something that I just like do in moments when like I don't know what else to do. Like I'll often just be on my feet, like swaying back and forth.
It's true.
Yeah, so that's interesting that kind of became a dance in that piece.
Yeah. Yeah, it like naturally became a little dance.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Does anyone else have any comments or questions for Talia about that performance? All right. Let's see. Is there anybody else who would like to share anything tonight? Any more pieces? Give people some space to decide.
We'll do this again, and hopefully the next time we'll get people warmed up and they'll want to share too, impromptu.
Got people ready to perform at the next open mic, it sounds like. Yeah.
If no one else has anything to share, I have one other piece, a song for you all. But if anyone else wants to go, I just want to give a chance to anyone.
I have another one. I'm fine with going after you, or I don't know if you wanted to end the night.
I don't mind. I can go first, or whatever you prefer.
I feel like a song should be the last thing, maybe.
Okay, sounds good.
If no one wants to go after. Okay, this is a poem. They have the same date. But, yeah, November 20th, 2020, and the title is Drunk. And I wrote this poem. Some might say that it's in my genes that I abuse alcohol, become an alcoholic or worse, and sit uptown just off the sidewalk where you can see me from your cubicle. But right now, Charlie, I'm at my breaking point. Tears swelling on forgiveness. I caress my neck at age 12 and say to him, stay soft, little one. Coming to embrace my sensitivity. What the antidepressant is doing for me aids my surrender to the overwhelm that the world shines. It says, Sivan, sit, enjoy your pleasure, be with your friends and let go of your shoulders. I marinate in the moment. Candid, the soundtrack. Thunder only happens when it's raining, has me rolling in the pleasure, the fire, the friends, the passion. So now this time, I'm alone after. And I'm not helplessly depressed. My body is the lighthouse, homing in the overcrowded ships from the stormy high sea. Sometimes I forget to turn on the light. I'm having too fun a time to worry about others drowning. Thank goodness, because that's what my heart does all day. I worry about other people drowning. But if I'm not sensitive, this alcohol, I know what it did for my long lost grandfather. Although my dad never talks about it, to me, this drink says, enjoy your pleasure. Enjoy your pleasure so that you know the minute your record scratches, skips, replays, and you start spinning your hell. I think that's where he went, my grandfather. Out to man's hell on high waters in a rowboat made by his own fists and shouts, while stuck on the same record looping the last 1.8 seconds of the song over and over again. But don't worry, my love. I'm not going to lose myself. See? I'm smiling. I'm good. My pleasure so covered, hidden underneath the fear of infection, the election, the climate crisis, hidden under so many years of denial because I was afraid of being a contradiction, a man that loves a man, two bodies born and raised to kill each other. Stay soft, boy, or this drink will kill you. Thank you.
That's quite a narrative.
That almost like brings tears to my eyes. It's very familiar. It has sort of a cuddling feeling, I think, at some parts when you're talking a little bit about soothing yourself. The imagery of two men who love each other and then two men raised to kill each other. I thought that was really like strong imagery, especially right next to each other like that. It was almost like being cuddled in 1 second and being squished and like coddled the next second, you know, the fine line.
It is a weird line, yeah. And part of my performance study right now, part of it is focusing on one essential element, and that is male homosexuality. And my story, my experience, my anecdotes with homosexual encounters and feelings and love and like what that contradiction means in this society. So I think, yeah, it is a fine line. That's actually interesting imagery, a fine line, you know, between like traditional masculinity and that same traditional masculinity loving another man. And those are two contradictions that very much can implode on each other, and they do. Yeah, there's a lot of healing attributes to this poem when I wrote it, and still today, yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Anyone else have any feedback or comments for Sivan on his piece, on their piece?
I've only heard it once, but it has a rawness to it, a wandering energy, like you can feel someone walking almost when it's and it's raw. Something about it.
I really, really like the final line, just like stay soft or you'll get hurt, basically. Because like when we're like talking about alcohol, or even just like in general, I feel like our instinct or intuition is to kind of, shift the other way, like harden ourselves and to, be responsible, to be like all these things that, I don't know, we don't associate with like relaxation and pleasure. And I really appreciate that, just like, I don't know, that we need to value those things, or we can become too hard. And yeah, especially like just, yeah, in the context of like masculinity and this, like, even I myself, like I'm a very lazy person, but there's like another like part of me that's just like constantly making me feel shitty about like not hardening myself and not, yeah. So I think that through the metaphor, like, or just like you're telling the story through like, in like a gender sense, or like through alcohol, I think like you really like brought together really cool visuals and like told the story really well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Your writing is very visual, Sivan.
Yeah.
Visual.
That's how I start my writing. I always have yeah, that's how I start my writing. I have a scene. I think about like, dang, like if I knew how and I had the resources, I would love to make a movie because my cinematography would be everything. But that's what I like to like shoot.
We should experiment.
We are performance laboratory.
Lab.
Anything is
Yeah.
possible.
Lab. Why not? Why not?
That's right. Speaking of cinematography, if we were going to make a movie, it would need some sound elements to it, which is a little segue. If Jaco is ready to perform your song, that would be amazing. I'll give the mic over to you, Jaco.
Yeah. All right. This song I also wrote this past week, and it's called Our Time. Before we opened up our eyes, we were told a billion lies. Before we opened up our mind, ooh, ooh, it makes me want to cry. Ooh, ooh, these memories won't die. Ooh, ooh, I'm staring at the light. Ooh, ooh, I'm waiting for my time. In the screen and on rewind, there's no denying it's a fight. In between what's wrong and right, there is there's a line that can't unite. Ooh, ooh, we're marching in the night. Ooh, ooh, we won't stop till it's right. Ooh, ooh, the man can feel the fright. Ooh, ooh, we're waiting for our time. Introducing the fusion of love in your movement, removed from the flood of illusions. Lead us to impeach and abolish the police. It's a new world order in the streets. Get your views from the views to confuse the solution. Red versus blue, it's amusing. White supremacy in a limousine loaded with the AR-16s. It's dark before the light. Ooh, ooh, we're waiting for our time. Ooh, ooh, the sun will always shine. Ooh, ooh, we're waiting for our time. Thank you.
Yeah. You wrote that this week, hey?
Mm-hmm.
On arrival.
Wow.
Excellent. We're gonna have to use that somewhere in the performance lab performances later on.
Really want
That's
Yeah,
like
also,
the long lost song of Hair 2021. Hair the musical revamped for 2021.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
wow.
Again, like, definitely like a result like of the times. I feel like very influenced by everything that, you know, we've been talking about, and also just like it's been a really long time since I've written a song. I think that, you know, just landing here in the Southwest and just like travel generally like inspires me a lot. But yeah, it kind of just came out of the blue and very, very quickly. So yeah, thank you for listening, and yeah.
Thank
Can
you.
I ask, where were you when you wrote that?
Well, I started it when I was back home on the East Coast, and then I wrote the rest of it here, just yeah, in the house.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Very
awesome.
nice.
That's
Beautiful,
amazing.
Jaco.
I
Thank you.
want to be like volunteer myself as a backup vocal if you want to
Oh,
like record
please,
that
yeah.
or anything.
And
The like,
that's what I was
ooh,
saying.
ooh.
That would be
Yeah, that
awesome.
was really catchy.
Yeah, that
You
was like
want
the
some-
first thing see. Normally when I write a song, it's like a really slow process, but this is like I heard that in my head. I was like, ooh, ooh. I'm like, okay, I gotta start writing
That's
this
the
shit.
hook, yeah.
So yeah.
I
Hmm.
seriously want to sing this song with you.
Yeah, that would be really fun. I would love to collaborate with it.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be fun to hear. How about next open mic? You guys do it together.
Mhm. Cool. Yeah.
Maybe we can get our attendees to join in too. Who knows?
Get the virtual chorus.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I want to thank I want to actually call out something about this performance lab and thank our attendees who decided to join us tonight, and thank anyone on Facebook who's watching us. But I also want to just call out the three of you for going live and putting yourselves out there. And that's what we do. You know, that's what we've been doing in this performance lab. We've been supporting each other enough to go out there and go live and share with a bigger audience and operate as an ensemble and a community in that manner. And I'm really glad that we could welcome in some more attendees with us, and hopefully in the future, more participants who feel comfortable enough to go for it.
Yeah, thank you, Ruth, for also doing this tonight with us. I love that you stuck around just as a teacher on a Saturday night with your students to like let us share this stuff that's just on our minds. Like, what an awesome way to kick off the new semester. And I'm grateful that it put me in touch with some other students that were attendees tonight. I got to kind of chat with people on the side, and it looks like some of you might be in our class that's starting next week. So I'm really excited that we got to connect this way first, just a little icebreaker like this. So thank you, Ruth, for like putting this on and hosting this event and just kind of encouraging the group to, yeah, come out and share what's been on our minds like this. And yeah, thank you also to my performance lab buddies, Sivan and Jaco. Stuff like this seriously makes me so happy when we do stuff like this. So thank y'all too.
So on that note, I think next week we'll be airing some of what we did last term, and we'll be doing a screening of those performances, and hopefully some more people will see what happened. And then in the future, we'll be doing more open mics. So to close out for the night, I'm gonna close us out on Facebook Live and say goodnight to our Facebook audience first. Good night, Facebook.
Good night, Facebook.